Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are back for another episode of the Buckeye Roast. It's your boy Ron James here with my guy QP Ski Q. How you doing?
Tired.
I hear you. That seems to be the theme of the show.
Oh man, I'm doing all right. What's going on?
Nothing much. I am tired as well. I had to just fix the title because I spelled playoffs wrong. But we're here and we got plenty to talk about. We had a conversation last night. I talked to Juck about it as well. And it's like when you're covering this team and you take a loss like that, how long do you dwell in the negative? And my thoughts there were, I don't know, probably have about 330 days to do it during the off season. So let's just lock in for this playoff run because the season is not over.
Yeah, so yeah, what's 365 minus 7?
Oh man. Just looking at the show notes, we got a couple things to talk about. Flag planting, still the end of the season to talk about. Snap counts, transfers, plenty to get to. Q, where do you want to start?
First of all, let me not forget in the moon. We give him our first shout out. Kenneth in the chat was in here very early. So shout out to you being the first one in here. Appreciate you. We got Charles Green in here. Is that Maniac 5.0 people in here early, so thanks for being in here. I see Doug too. Go ahead and like that video while you're in here. If you're on Twitter, go ahead and like and retweet it and get that going. I've also promised to update the Spotify, so there's one listener out there who only does audio who's cursing my name with his fist in the air, so I promise I will get that updated today. Got to get that rolling, but a lot to talk about, so let's jump into it. This show might go a lot of ways, but we're gonna see where we end up. But yeah, chat, go ahead, get it there in there. If you got any questions, throw them in there, and we'll get to them. All right. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, J Book posted this video on Twitter yesterday, and it was Bomani Jones talking about people being upset that there was a fight at the end of the Michigan-Ohio State game. We haven't really talked about it. I think we've been so depressed in how the game actually played. We really have kind of barely talked about what happened at the end. But he talks about college football needs to go ahead and ban this level of flag planting after the game and just get rid of it all. Because he's like, what do you expect guys to do? They're gonna fight. And Ron, I'm pretty sure you were up around the Twitterverse and social media all through. I've seen so many people being like, well, if you wanted to fight, fight during the game, or like, if you win, you're allowed to do whatever you want.
That's what, but Bomani made the greatest point. Everybody's like, oh, you had 60 minutes to fight about it. And now I can disrespect you and you can't do anything because we just played a football game. Bomani asked the question, where do you draw the line? Oh, you beat me, so you get to fuck my girl? Like, where is the line? Like, oh, you get to spit on me? You could call my mom a bitch? Like, where is the line? And he hit the nail on the head. Like, all of these people that want to fucking throw rocks and then hide their hand, like, bro, if you want to plant that flag, take the consequences that come with it. And he also made the point, if you're going to fight him a second time after losing the game, you got to win the second fight. Doesn't look like the Buckeyes did that either.
Okay, a word of advice. This a football fight. No one gets knocked out. No one got actually UFC beat up or anything. But if you are the size of a safety, do not touch anybody who's wearing the number 90 or anybody really with the number 70 or above. Just stay away from those guys with double-digit numbers that are not skill position players because they weigh 300 pounds and might be able to throw you to the ground. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably sound advice there. If you weigh under 200 pounds, don't fight the 300-pound man that's also a Division I athlete. Like, I get maybe you fight the fat guy at McDonald's that's taking too long in front of you, but not the Division I athlete that runs a fucking 4.6 and lifts every day.
Snaps. Oh man, but yeah, no, I thought it was an excellent point, and I just retweeted and put PSA because I'm like, look, Ohio State was not the only team to fight. There was teams all
every team fought. It was like almost like It's a sign of disrespect to plant a
Yeah.
flag in someone's stadium during a rivalry game.
Yeah, and I saw the people try to make the excuse, well, Baker did at Ohio State. There was no one on the field when Baker did at Ohio State. That field was clear. I don't even think the crowd was really there. And people brought up that Ohio State planted a flag 40 years ago. I don't know, 1974 or something like that. It's like, let it go. Like this, this honestly has to go, or you can expect to fight at the end of the game. And that's fine. If you want to try to plant flags, all well and good. But if people punch you in the face because you try to do it, it's just part of it. That's what you can expect. So I'm just saying I think college football should probably do away with it or put some penalty in it. I don't know, maybe it'd be worth it next year to go plant a flag in Ann Arbor and pay $1 million fine if they feel need to be. But I would expect some change to come in college football kind of after this weekend because that was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if they outlaw horns down, I'm pretty sure the banning of flag planting is on the horizon.
No, exactly. So don't be, but if you have not seen that video, definitely it's on J Book's Twitter. I retweeted it. Go and find that because it's a great 10-minute watch. It is a really great piece of content. Okay, so I wanted to throw this in here before we talk a little more Ohio State. Porter's season is fully underway. It was very annoying to get the college football news because I swear On3 tweeted absolutely everyone that hit the portal. Like, it doesn't matter what school they went to, what position they played, high profile, low profile. I know everybody's name who is officially in the portal right now. But Ron, it is officially portal season. You talked to Anna yesterday and you asked him a question. You said, do you have faith in Ohio State's NIL? Now, Chris and I have debated this. We've probably touched on it a bit of times. I have not seen Ohio State aggressive in the winter portal. The portal where they finally brought the big guns out was last spring, and luckily enough, Nick Saban retired, and there was a lot of players available that Ohio State could acquire to make the team a lot better.
I mean, hey, we
feel like
Quinshon Judkins in the winter portal.
no, we got him in the spring portal, didn't we? Was that in the winter? Wasn't that in spring?
Winter. He announced it after the national championship game.
That would be the spring portal, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we did. I thought spring portal we got Judkins because I was very shocked when we got Judkins. I thought that was the spring, but I can double check.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he released a graphic after Michigan won the national championship the same night.
Yeah, but doesn't the winter portal end in December and then the one opens up right after the Natty, like in the springtime, like January-ish?
No, the second portal window opens about halfway through spring practices. Yeah, about halfway through spring practices and then ends 2 weeks after Ohio State wraps their spring camp.
Okay, so I might be off that, but usually Ohio State is not very aggressive. Do you think with this portal where more players enter, you think they'll finally be aggressive? I mean, outside of Judkins in the winter portal?
There was an interesting post on the 247 message board a few weeks back on the Penn State board. Anyone that follows the show knows that's the only board that I go on. I feel like it's a library. It's so well organized. They're not too overreactive over there. Their insiders give decent information. And one of the things that they said is they think that Ohio State's going to be very aggressive in the portal. And if the $20 million is probably just scratching the surface of where the Buckeyes go as far as recruiting, I would not be surprised if the Buckeyes are super active in the portal. I think last year was like the first year of them ripping the Band-Aid off as far as going and acquiring Caleb Downs, Quinshon Judkins, Seth McLaughlin. The list goes on as far as the Buckeyes going out and being aggressive in the transfer portal. And I think you're going to see that again. And I think you're going to see a shift across all of college football where the teams have the money to do it because it's a lot easier for them to go get a guy that has proven ability at the Power 5 level, has been in a program, you've seen the development, and you can add them to your team and then bring them into your culture versus a guy where you're going to be paying someone hundreds of thousands of dollars to sit on a team that's competing for a national championship and not likely to find them early minutes. So when these kids go to these smaller schools and are able to transfer up, I think it does open the door for a lot of guys to develop and kind of changing the trajectory of how people grow within the sport, because with the influx of transfers, with as many 4 and 5 stars that a lot of these teams are acquiring, it's hard to crack the rotation, especially when you're getting recruited over by established products that have proven it on the field before you've had that opportunity. So the idea of having a 25, 30 person class and then stacking another 10 transfers on top of it, I don't think that's realistic. And I feel like you're going to see a more balanced approach to both the portal and recruiting classes.
I think so. When necessarily it comes to Ohio State, I mean, we're nearing the end of this, or we're getting close to signing day now, and you can see, like, yet again, the birds of the past fly away for Ohio State as you lose a couple DNs. We're still out here chasing tackles, have no idea what David Sanders is going to do. We typically
I think I have an
miss.
idea of what David Sanders is going to do.
I mean,
Not go to Ohio State.
yeah, I mean, I have an idea, but there's a lot of hype about it, so we'll see what happens.
I know you still have your David Sanders merch from when he was selling
Yeah.
Ohio State t-shirts earlier in the season, but I don't think
He
you're
owes
going to
me
be
money if he doesn't commit to Ohio State. That's all I know.
It's going to
I
turn
better get
into
some
a
new
nightshirt.
Yeah, at least give me some new T-shirts or something. I'll wear Tennessee gear around. But
if you see a random girl down in Arizona walking around in David Sanders merch, just know where she stayed last night.
But yeah, I feel like Ohio State kind of continues to struggle at certain positions, so I could see them going with a more balanced approach between recruiting. Ohio State has once hit this line of we are not taking 30 guys and basically just making cuts from there. We're not taking 30 guys, getting the portal for 10 and saying, hey, hit the door. Like, I've rarely seen them really push guys out, maybe a little bit last season, which was a surprise. But yeah, I'm with you. I think it will pick up from what it normally is. I don't know if it's going to go as crazy as kind of last springish time or maybe winter spring did, but I'm hopeful because there's a lot of positions that we need to plug and play on. I mean, the offensive line, have no idea where the trajectory of that is. Defensive end, Ron is going to be lining up across from CJ Hicks next season because we have no one. Kenyatta Jackson, Caden Curry, CJ Hicks, and I'm missing and Mickens, or that's the entire depth for the defensive line. And defensive end, you just lost two guys that had commitments. So you got to look there. There's a lot of places around that we need to do. So we will see how aggressive they are. I have hope, but I'm still on the verge of, like, I still need to see Ohio State's NIL do it. We've talked about this $20 million roster. We've talked about how impressive they were in that springtime last season, or winter springtime, but over the years, they have not been impressive. So I need some consistency before I'm all in on Ohio State NIL.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's a great question to ask. Hey, you put together the $20 million roster. Can you do it again and again and again? Because one of the important things about this NIL era is the ability to sustain the success that they've had with the fundraising and being able to land the players. And it'll be interesting to see if the Buckeyes are able to back up that $20 million class with a second one, because at the end of the day, everyone can throw money around, but can you land $20 million worth of players?
Yeah, that's true. We've seen a lot of players we went after with opposing jerseys. Like, damn, that guy sure looks good. I wish we could have got him on our roster. So we will certainly see from there. But I got some positive news here, and I know it's the wake. Maybe everybody's like, just give me something. Well, I got you. Ohio State got a commitment last night. Now, this guy won't be on roster anytime soon, but 2027 quarterback Brady Edmonds, who was a 5-star, is in the fold. Ron, got our 2027 quarterback. How you feeling?
Ryan Day is an unserious human being. Like, you let that kid put that commitment out there during a time where Ohio State fans don't give a fuck about anything. Jesus Christ himself could have committed to the Buckeyes yesterday, and there would have been Buckeye fans complaining about it. Like, I feel bad because this kid could have had a bigger moment. He's a 5-star. He's the number 2 quarterback in his class. Should be something that the fan base is excited about, and it's a huge signing for the Buckeyes. But it's kind of like, read the room. Not by the kid, because I'm sure Ryan Day greenlit this or put it in his head like, we need one. We need one from you right now. Like, the fan base needs this. And they convinced this kid to commit after the most embarrassing loss in school history. And I think that's unfair to the kid. Shout out to him. I appreciate his commitment, especially after what he watched and still wanting to be a part of this program. So, I mean, hats off to him. I think he's an absolute baller, but I think it just stinks the timing. I mean, I'm glad that he's a Buckeye, but I feel like Ryan Day and others were in his ear of like, I need a win right now.
Yeah, and we've seen Ohio State do this before. I remember the Arvell Reese commitment. I mean, Berm touched on it. He was like, it was a bad time in recruiting. They was like, "Hey, Arvell, can you commit right now? Because we need some positive momentum to kind of break this fold." So, yeah, I mean, Brady Edmonds, 5-star level quarterback, should be excited for it. I know he's been Ohio State's guy for a while in the 2027 class, so they're happy to get him in the fold. I know it's not the best time, but it's good because we've seen a lot of commits that Ohio State have really back in the program and say, hey, it's signing week. We can't wait to get there. We saw what just happened, but it's not gonna mess up our week. We're gonna sign and we're gonna come in and try to help rebuild this programming and have them playing consistently where they should be. So it's good to see there, but that was some positive news to get him in here. Now, one in, one out. We have a little bit of negative news as Gabe Powers is the first Buckeye to hit the portal. Question to hear your reaction to your boy Gabe Powers being the first one out the door.
I mean, call my real estate agent, call him my stockbroker, call him my accountant. Man, stock is up, bro. Gabe Powers is going to get an opportunity somewhere to finally shine. And I've been high on Gabe Powers since he got to Ohio State. We had our stock report. You sold all of your Gabe Powers stock at the beginning of the season. I got to, sell some of my profit after his pick 6 against Akron. I thought things were really looking up for bro, and I'm excited to see what type of opportunity that he gets. I feel like the transfer portal is one of those things where it's positive in a lot of situations. There's some negative and people that complain about it, but I feel like this is one of the examples of the positives of the transfer portal. You're going to see a guy that came in, committed to the process. It didn't quite shake out, and he's going to have an opportunity to compete somewhere else, and I feel like he's going to show what he's capable of, and I wish Gabe Powers nothing but the best, and I will be following and watching wherever he ends up landing.
All right, now I gotta ask some tough questions on this one I have for you. My first one, I'm just going to throw this out here, so you can take this wherever you want. Did Ohio State kind of fail Gabe Powers in his development and chances to play and make an impact here?
No, I don't think so, because I could argue that the people that played ahead of him did so deservingly, and I feel like Gabe did all the right things, but sometimes there's just people in front of you. I mean, you have an all-world linebacker like Tommy Heismanberg, and then Steel Chambers. As critical as I am of Steel Chambers, I feel like it cannot be lost in context when you mention his name with the Buckeyes. He was the best player on that 2021 defense. Say what you want about how terrible it was, about how much they struggled. That team lived and died with Steel Chambers. So, I mean, what he put in that year essentially cemented him for the next 2 years. And then you see the way the linebackers are playing now. Sonny makes that transition, something that we've been calling for a long time. And I think that he's done a good job, and you've watched Sonny Styles progress this season. And while I don't think he'll be a draft pick this year, I do think he will return and ultimately end up being a high draft pick after his second year in the position. You saw Cody Simon take a step forward, and then Arvell Reese being an absolute dude this year and kind of jumping that class as far as the place in the depth chart. So, I mean, I'm very high on Arvell Reese. I really don't even look at it as a knock to Gabe Powers. It's just kind of one of those situations where the room went from kind of bare, especially when he committed, to a position of strength on the roster.
Yeah, I don't know where I really feel on how Gabe Powers' situation played out. I've felt for a while, and James Laurinaitis is in now, and thank God for Arvell Reese, because that is the true kind of bright spot here. I just felt like it's one of those things where you're pouring a lot of resources into this linebacker room, and you're not quite getting out what you've got in. And I say that because if we look back, I mean, Reed Carrico was here, a top 50 player, never really touched the field. We have Gabe Powers, CJ Hicks class. We haven't really got really anything out of those two. Deshaun McCullough, the one guy who decided not to come here, and then Ohio State didn't want him, is probably the best out of those four. I mean, I think he was 80 overall grade last year for Pro Football Focus. I know he played well this season. He's been hurt, so he's been in and out, but definitely has been a solid player for Oklahoma. And now we're moving forward. And I know Ohio State. We get these recruits, we fall in love with them, and we're moving on to say, hey, like Riley Pat John's coming in, Alfred's coming in, like we got more guys. So just like
I don't know about that one.
Maybe, but hey, clear the runway for those guys. But it's also too like we've had, if Gabe Powers was coming in the class this year, we'd be talking about him like we're talking about the next guys coming in now. Like, this is a high talented guy. In a year or so, we should be having, an all Big Ten linebacker, an all American possible linebacker if they develop him right. I just don't know at this position if the development has yet got there. I mean, Sonny Styles feel like should be I said his best chance to be probably the all-American linebacker. He's not even really all Big Ten yet. We'll see if he next year, if he can stick around and do that. I just feel like the amount of resources in this linebacker room aren't quite panning out to what it should be, and the development is lacking.
And while we're talking about linebackers, I'd like to share a fun story for Ohio State fans and Michigan fans to keep an eye on. There's a player named Bradley Gompers from Pittsburgh. And I tweeted before Bradley Gompers was even ranked that he is the most underrated player in all of high school football. Unranked linebacker, committed to Duke. And I said, man, the Buckeyes need to go after him. Anyone that needs a linebacker should go get this kid because he is an absolute stud. But our linebackers coach has me blocked on Twitter, so I know for a fact he did not see it. But apparently someone in Michigan saw it when a month later he went from completely unranked to number 107 in the country and now a Michigan lean. If there is a kid right 3 hours away from Columbus that goes from unranked to a borderline 5-star, and he's in driving distance of your university and he doesn't get an offer and potentially lands at your rivals, what are you doing? What are you doing? Bradley Gompers, now Michigan lean, is going to be an absolute fucking dog at Michigan if they land that kid. And again, it's just another scenario of the Buckeyes like, we know better. We do this.
We always make this argument. I remember you bringing him up like two months ago.
I went to go see him the first game of the high school season. He played against a familiar name of you guys know, Blake Woodby, a former Buckeye commit. At one point was a borderline 5-star cornerback. Eli Lee, or not Eli Lee, I'm sorry, that's the linebacker from Ohio. There's a few, Jair Edwards, there's a few other high-end prospects on that team at St. Francis. And I go there, and Bradley Gompers is the best player on the field. The very first play of the game, I'm going there thinking I'm watching a linebacker. This kid lines up at fucking X receiver against Blake Woodby and mosses him, and they had to take him off him. Like, you can't cover this kid. And it's like, there's supposed to be multiple 5-stars on this field, and the most talented player is this unranked kid. And it completely jumped off. Well, it wasn't off the screen. It jumped off the field. You could see it. This was the most talented player that we were watching. And then a month later, he goes from unranked to number 107 in the country and now looking like a Michigan lean. And man, well, it disgusts me if I saw a player that was committed to Duke, not ranked, jump to 107 and he lands with the ops. Be terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't really be surprising. I much have panned that you should just go grab great athletes, even if you don't know what position they will be, and just get them into the program. I mean, we've said it about Ohio kids and local kids. I don't really know. I mean, as far as I guess the linebacker situation, I mean, how long have I been beating the drum for Arvo Reese, who is the young, probably most natural, maybe most talented linebacker we have to start and say, hey, we got a sophomore here who's really got things together. Let's build around him. Let's have Sonny Styles and Cody Simon and CJ Hicks and whoever else like work around this guy because he's the rock and we're going to get 2 really good years out of him. And we finally seen him play the most snaps because Ohio State went to a 3 linebacker set. But in the biggest game of the year against Oregon, 4 snaps? Like, I just I don't know where I don't want to stick for this all day, but I have some questions on the mind and development of some of these players at these positions. But we will see. We will see, I guess, before I go on a tangent. But yeah, so that's basically most of the national news I got. I have some notes here, but I'm sure we'll jump into it with what you have going on. So Ron, I will pass it to you.
Yeah, we hit on the transfer portal, the recruiting commits, but you see the title of the show, and I wanted to ask, I mean, we talked about it yesterday, and it's just been a debate. How long do we dwell on this loss? Because the season must go on, or is going on. I don't know if it must go on, but it's going.
Fortunately, we won too many games for it to stop.
That's a great assessment. We won too many games for this season to stop. So we have to continue to roll with the punches. I mean, we just got stomped out, but hey, gotta fight again. And it looks like the Buckeyes are about to host a playoff game. And I guess we'll start with the silly Twitter question of the day. And it seems to be, do you even want to play in the playoffs for a national championship after that loss? And in the moment, I personally felt like, fuck that natty, fuck the playoffs, like blow everything up. I don't want to watch this anymore. And then I remembered how excited I was the moment before Noah Ruggles ruined my fucking life and missed that field goal. I was excited.
Great.
I was excited. I had hope. I had joy again. And then it was fucking ruined. So I was like, feed me that hope again. Let's do it. Let's jump right back on this roller coaster and do this again.
You remember that time I was about to be elected president and then Noah Ruggles missed that field goal against Georgia?
Exactly, bro. I was seconds away. They stole the election. I need a recount. Goddamn punch cards. I can't tell.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, Al Gore joke for you old heads out there.
The hanging chad. They didn't count the ballots right. I mean, yeah, we still, again, it's a rough time. It feels, and oh man, you know what? I'm thinking back to a couple years ago, and we haven't done one in a while, but me and Chris Drew have this show, if you know around here. It's called State of the Program, where we judge critically on this team in the scope of winning a natty. And we talked about these problems, and it seems like everybody responded to that show. There's a lot of response to that show, and they said, you guys are overly critical. Ryan Day is still a young head coach. Like, you're talking about him like he'll never beat Jim Hardball. You're like, there's a lot of positivity around this program. And I look here 2 years later from that initial show, because I think that was like well before the 2023 season. And I say, well, damn, has much really changed since we did that show? Like, how do you really feel about it now? And going into this playoff scenario, everybody, I know, because you don't have any choice but say, well, I guess the only choice is to win the whole damn thing. But it's like, I don't have no confidence in that. Like, Ryan Day has not shown me anything because, again, I get it. Before this Michigan loss, the teams Ohio State has lost to have been natty teams or very damn near really good teams. It's not like he's losing to the children of the blind until last week when he lost to the children of the blind. But I have no sort of enthusiasm that Ryan Day is going to get over the hump with his team. He continuously, in a big game, will get us there. We'll have our hopes up. We'll feel like, well, I have a chance to win. We have the momentum. Oh, we're outplaying this team. and somehow he will get out coached at the end. We will make a mistake, and he cannot get over the hump. So looking here, I mean, yeah, we have the talent. Yeah, we definitely could go win a natty if everything goes right. But at Ohio State, nothing, everything never goes right. We've we should have a natty 2 years ago. We miss a field goal. Marv goes out. Jim Knowles has a safety on a wide receiver who runs a 4-0 and gets burnt and lets them right back in the game. Like these little mistakes of stuff is like kind of just like there is for every time where the people talk about teams that have got over the hump and like, oh, it took Kirby just this long. You know how many teams just really don't get over the hump and got to blow everything up? Like for the older heads in here, I remember this. I used to watch NBA playoffs so much. You remember that Sacramento team with Chris Webber, Mike Bibby, Peja Stojakovic? I'm forgetting the sitter's name. I can't believe it's leaving me. God, I can't remember his name. But I seen them go up against the Lakers like 4 times where I'm like, yo, if they could just get past the Lakers, they got this championship dead to rights. 4 years in a row, something would go wrong. They would go up 3-2. They would find a way to lose it. And eventually they're like, we just got to blow the team up. Let's trade, Mike Bibby and Doug Christie and all these guys because it's just not going to happen. And at this point with Ryan Day, like I feel the same way. I'm like, it just might not happen.
Look, and I will be the devil's advocate here. Maybe we're the Celtics. Maybe we're about to get over that hump. We just had to suffer embarrassing defeat before we finally get over it. Are we Sacramento? Let us know in the chat. Are we the Sacramento Queens? Or are we the Boston Celtics? Which one do you think we are? Because at this point, you have to be on either side of the fence of like, doom and gloom, blow up the season, I'm done, or like Vlade Divac, the former GM. I couldn't remember the name. I see it in the chat.
Y'all know what I'm talking
about. You're in the spot where you're like, do we blow it all up, or do I just want to see one more chance? And I look at the timeline. Our guy Dodd asked the question. He's like, that's a crazy mindset, not wanting to go to the playoffs. And I saw someone tweet yesterday, and they're like, Ryan Day's 1-4 in the playoffs and just lost to a 6-5 Michigan team. What makes you think this team is going to be the one that gets it done? And I thought it was a valid point, but it's like, what do we got better to do for the next month?
Like I said, we're in here now. It's like you got to walk in that door.
Like I rode with this team for 12 games. Like I'm fucking not quitting now.
Your TV and see what happens. I'm just like, am I exactly enthused and all aboard and like, yeah, like they're gonna turn it around? Like, no, not necessarily, but my mind can be changed. I'm just in here like, I don't expect this run to end in a natty. I mean, I keep seeing and something I brought up like these little issues. Saturday, the absolute, and we've talked about this all season, the absolute lack of rotation for this team. Absolutely, Ryan Day again tightening up, and everybody talks about that third down where guys didn't get us. So we had Mullins in the backfield, dead to rights. 2 guys there, none of them come through. Well, they were only on their 65th snap of the game. Like little mistakes again, the defense will eventually break if you don't rotate on defense. Like, am I surprised that happened? That 2D tackles just didn't have enough to get a running back down in the 4th quarter after playing 65 snaps? No. Like yet again, these little stuff that happens to Ryan Day's teams continue to show themselves. We talked about against Oregon. We couldn't get a stop at the end of the game. Why? Because guys played so many snaps and they didn't rotate anybody. And we got to the Penn State week and we finally saw a rotation. We saw 3 backup receivers on a what basically a game-winning drive because those points put us ahead and Penn State never caught up. And we were like, oh, they finally learned from these mistakes. And we get here 6 weeks later, or I guess 5 weeks later, and we're looking at the same thing. That is the stuff that I started to lose confidence that things will actually change for this program.
I have lost confidence, but I am going to be delusionally positive until the season's over because I'm going to have the entire offseason to fire Ryan Day, hire new coaches, get rid of coordinator. But I do kind of want to jump the gun. We were positive there for, I don't know, like 4.5 minutes and my stomach's starting to hurt. So a little bit of negativity before we get out of here. So send everybody on their day. Everybody's like, oh, Jaden Fielding's skating when Chip Kelly should be getting more criticism. Oh, Ryan Day's skating because Chip Kelly's getting so much criticism. Chip Kelly's skating because of Jaden Fielding getting so much criticism. You know one name that's not getting enough criticism this season and is kind of skated the entire year?
Who would that be?
What exactly does Keenan Bailey do? Because I'm not even sure if we put tight ends on the field this season. He completely removed that position from our team. What does he do? We talk about the Cousins hire and hiring your buddies. He hired his mentor, the best man in his wedding, his protege. What does he do?
Well,
starts fights in the locker room in the offseason. We know that.
Yeah, I'm surprised he wasn't pulling the flag down.
If we're looking at Bro's resume this year, getting beat up at practice and having the worst performance from tight ends all season, why is he not getting any criticism?
I mean, there's so much criticism to go down. And the tight ends again, Will Kazmarek, who I'm not here for criticizing players because I blame coaches for players. He has not played well this season. He broke his collarbone. The tight end room certainly had a bump because G. Scott got better. We started to see Bennett Christian, Jelani Thurman started to play a little better, started to get confidence in these guys. And we felt like the talent is in those guys in the tight end room. And yet again, we look on Saturday, Bennett Christian plays 4 snaps after really blocking really well and actually playing pretty well the last few weeks. Jelani Thurman, 0 snaps on Saturday. 0. Goose egg. G. Scott, you don't feel the impact from him. Will Kazmarek, if I didn't look at here and see he played 20 snaps, I would have never even known he played. But that tells you how effective the tight end room was on Saturday. I mean, Keenan Bailey recruits. I'll give him that. He continues to stack this room with talent. Eventually, I feel like there'll be enough good players that, like the linebacker room, there'll eventually be enough good players in it that we'll find somebody who's decent and can play. So he does recruit, but I've said it for a while. I think you need one of these analysts, and if he's going to recruit, get an analyst who can actually develop tight ends because that position at Ohio State, we look around the country, there's no reason Penn State should have better tight ends than Ohio State. I mean, there's just no reason. It should at least be comparable. But
especially
again,
when most of their tight ends are converted quarterbacks from high school, they just go find giant mid-ass quarterbacks that can run that are fucking 6'5" in high school and 220 pounds. They're like, oh, we can put 30 pounds on him and teach him to catch the ball.
Yeah, I mean, they put out pros, we put out bank managers. Like it just is what it is. We're not keeping up with the level of development that they are. So, and Keenan Bailey is a young coach. I think he's got a lot of ability. I mean,
guess where young coaches shouldn't be learning how to coach?
We've talked about this a lot.
But my team, bro. Go learn somewhere else. Learn somewhere else, man.
And I'm with it. But if you're going to do that, how many coaches around the country who are not working right now can develop tight ends? I'm sure there's at least a few out there who maybe say, I don't want to coach full time, but I know what I'm doing with the tight end room. Well, maybe pair that guy up with a young coach because the analyst room is as open as it could be. There's no limit. I'm sure there's a guy sitting on his couch right now analyzing college football that can coach tight ends and wouldn't mind getting $300K a year to go be an analyst.
I mean, I know one guy that wouldn't mind $250,000 a year to be a kicking analyst, but that's a discussion for a different day, man. There are 300 people watching the show right now. If you're watching on Twitter, go ahead and retweet that video, drop a like on it. Make sure you are following a member. Make sure you're a member of the community as well because we post the show live every day in there. We appreciate all of you guys tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, like the video. We do a national college show on Wednesdays. Our guy Terry and Mike, they do a show called The Fans Edge on Wednesdays. And yeah, we're here 5 days a week, and we have a show on Sunday called Buckeye BS. Tons of content around here, tons of new faces around that are deciding to sulk in the misery of this loss. I appreciate you guys doing it here with us. And if you didn't get enough of us, I will be on the Juck on Buck pregame show. Well, not pregame show, his regular show here in about 30 minutes. So check me out over there as well. Q, let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, appreciate everybody coming through. Appreciate all the members. I see you were reading the chat. I seen Charles Green earlier.
Oh, we got a new member. Shout out
Yeah,
our guy J8 too.
yeah, Jay.
Became a member
There we
the
go.
other day. So
I was just
we're
about to
gonna
say
get
we
some
just
member
gotta.
content for you here soon.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff lined up for y'all. I gotta get it done. So feel free to DM me on Twitter or or Instagram and harass me. I'll get that done before you get it out because we greatly appreciate that. But yeah, you're new around here, hit that sub button, hit the like button while you're in here. If you want to find me, I am City Boy Quentin on Twitter. I am not hard to find. Find it Johnson on Instagram. And if you're in the movies and that sort of thing, Minor League Films here on YouTube. Ron, get us out of here. Ron, don't get us out of here. I'll keep talking. And you can find us on Instagram and TikTok. And Ron, you're on mute.
You
There
know,
you go.
this damn microphone, I have a short in my mic cable and I need to replace it. It just got real bad the other day and it's been killing me these past two shows. So I need to go get this cord replaced after the show today. But I have to get to my guy Cam's super chat. Cam, thanks for the two. It is day 2 of his Go Get Glenn Schumann as a head coach campaign. He started this campaign a few days ago and the other day and said that he's going to keep it going, and we appreciate the support. 6-time Natty champ. Do your research. I mean, he's starting to become a believer, but I feel like it's going to be a name that we're going to have to keep in our back pocket for at least a year because it doesn't look like he's going anywhere.
Yeah. Another name, and Chris threw it out yesterday, and I thought about dropping it on Sunday, but I didn't know yet if we were going to talk coaches. But yeah, Kenny Dillingham here at Arizona State. I think he's a dude, honestly. The way he's turned his program around, and of course, it threw in my face. I was walking around, and you know me, I'm a Ohio State fan. Arizona State's terrible. I talk shit about them all the time. I'm like, Arizona State ain't good. What are we talking about? Blah blah. I look up, they ranked. I'm like, oh yeah, Kenny Dillingham, who Oregon fans know very well. He was the offensive coordinator that turned around Bo Nix, if you remember that. He's a dude, man. That's a name I would look out for. I do really like Dillingham and what he's done. And like I said, Arizona State, there's no reason they should not be a top 20. Like,
bro, Arizona State should be a top 5 school in the country because if you can't convince 18 to 22-year-old men to come to your college with the resources that they have at Arizona State, and I ain't talking facilities, you can't recruit.
I'm telling you, if put me recruiting coordinator today,
job in the country.
Hey, top 5 and not 5. Put me a recruiting coordinator today. I guarantee 5 stars in the next year.
If I'm a coach at Arizona State, I'm not even bringing these kids to the facility. I'm taking them to the sorority houses for the pool parties. That's the only place they need to see before they visit campus.
Hey, I'm about to step outside, and it's about to be like 74 today. That's like, it's that easy.
Exactly. And just remember, when Q says that, he lives 30 minutes from the Woody and from Scottsdale. So beautiful weather in Columbus today, I would imagine. But we appreciate you guys rocking out with us. We appreciate Cam for the super chat. You know where to find us. We are here Monday through Friday for the Buckeye Roast around 8 a.m. I have to just say around 8 a.m. You're going to get a show eventually. But we appreciate you guys tuning in, all 300 of you guys. And we will talk to you tomorrow. Hopefully, we will have a few more special guests this week. Our guy Terry was out sick. This is normally a Terry Tuesday. We will circle back with him here soon and get his thoughts on the game and plenty more to talk about. Everybody cheer up. We still have a potential national championship run ahead of us. Unlikely, but it's still a possibility. We appreciate you guys. Regardless of us losing 4 straight, as disgusting as that is, it's always go Bucks. And of course, OH.
Ayo.